Are you preparing for a Scrum certification like a PSM, CSM or PSPO? Or you just want to test your Scrum knowledge? Then these 87 handpicked questions are exactly what you need to boost your confidence and ace your exam. So let's get started. Why is it important for a Scrum team to adhere to the definition of done? To enable faster delivery without testing, for transparency about the done state, or to help with flexibility. So definition of done promotes transparency, consistency and accountability, and it helps in reducing rework and ensuring stakeholder confidence. So the correct answer is B, for transparency about the done state. Next question is it the responsibility of the PO to finalize what goes into the sprint during sprint planning? True or false? So for this question, sprint planning is a collaborative effort between the PO and the dev team. The product owner provides the priorities, but the development team selects the backlog items they can realistically complete based on their capacity. So the answer is B, false. What should the Scrum Master do if the development team decides not to participate in the daily Scrum? A, respect their decision as they are self-organizing, or B, coach them about the value of the daily Scrum. So in this situation, the Scrum Master should educate the team on the importance of daily Scrum. The Scrum Master can explain that daily Scrum is for the team and it's not a status update for the Scrum Master or the product owner, and how daily Scrum can help improve communication, identify blockers and align on the sprint goal. So the answer is B, coach them about the value of the daily Scrum. Next, Scrum mandates using story points for estimating work. Is this true or false? So teams are free to choose any estimation technique that works for them, whether it's story points, t-shirt sizes or even no estimates at all, as long as it helps with planning and tracking progress. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, what is the right moment for creating a sprint goal? Is it before sprint planning? Is it during sprint planning? Or is it done during PI planning? So the right moment for creating sprint goal is sprint planning meeting. This is the meeting where product owner brings the prioritized backlog, and then the development team decides on the sprint backlog, and together they craft a sprint goal. So the answer is B, during sprint planning meeting. Next question is a Scrum Master the same as a project manager? True or false? So the Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process and supports the team's self-management, while a project manager typically oversees planning, budgeting and overall project delivery. So the answer is no, a Scrum Master is not the same as project manager. B, false. Next question is, what is included in the sprint backlog? All work to be completed in the sprint, all items assigned to developers, or plan of development team to complete work in the sprint. So sprint backlog is created during sprint planning meeting, and this includes all the items that development team aim to complete in the sprint and the plan development team creates to complete those items. So the answer is A, all work to be completed in the sprint, and C, plan of development team to complete the work in the sprint. Next question is, does the Scrum Master keep track of resource allocation in the Scrum team? Yes or no? So the development team is a self-organizing team and it manages its own work. The Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process, removes impediments and ensures that the team follows Scrum practices. Keeping a track of resources is not part of Scrum Master's responsibilities. So the answer is B, no. Next question is, two developers in a Scrum team are having conflicts almost every day. What should be done according to Scrum? A, ignore the conflict and continue with sprint. B, reassign developers to the different teams. And C, Scrum Master to facilitate a resolution. So in this situation, the role of Scrum Master becomes crucial. The Scrum Master should coach the developers on what Scrum values are and what do they actually mean. For example, the value of respect should always be present in the team. So the answer is C, Scrum Master to facilitate a resolution. Next question is, when multiple Scrum teams are working on a product, each team can have its own definition of done, and any differences can be addressed during a hardening sprint. Is this true or false? So there are two important things here. First, a hardening sprint is not part of Scrum. And second, when multiple Scrum teams are working on the same product, they should share a common definition of done to ensure consistency and integration across increments. Having different definition of done could lead to quality gaps and misalignment. So the answer is B, false. Next question is the product backlog fixed at the start of the project to ensure predictability for the development team? True or false? So product backlog is a living and evolving artifact that is continuously refined and adjusted based on new insights, changing priorities, and customer feedback. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, which of the following is an important activity for the product owner during a sprint? Prioritize sprint backlog, perform code reviews, or answer questions from the development team. So if we look at the options, sprint backlog is owned completely by the development team, and the code review is also done by the members of the development team. The product owner tries to help the dev team in case they have some questions or suggestions. So the answer is C, answer questions from the development team. Next question is, what should the Scrum Master do if the product owner and the development team have constant conflicts? A, ignore the conflict. B, coach product owner and development team about the values in Scrum. Or C, find another product owner. So in this situation, the Scrum Master should act as a facilitator, fostering open communication and collaboration between the PO and the dev team. The Scrum Master should coach both parties on Scrum values and mediate conflicts to ensure a shared understanding and a productive working relationship. So the answer is B, coach PO and development team about values in Scrum. Next question is, should the work of multiple Scrum teams working on different functionalities of a website be integrated at end of each sprint? No, that's for hardening sprint. B, yes. C, yes, but only after every 2 sprints. So first, there is no concept of hardening sprint prescribed by Scrum. Second, if multiple Scrum teams are working on different functionalities of the same website, their work should be integrated at the end of each sprint to ensure a potentially shippable product increment. Regular integration also helps identify issues early and maintains a cohesive product. So the answer is B, yes. Next question is, does the self-organizing nature of the development team mean that they decide how to complete the work during a sprint? True or false? Indeed, the development team is a self-organizing team, and self-organizing teams decide how to complete the work during a sprint, and they manage their own tasks and processes to meet the sprint goal. So the answer is A, true. Next question is, the Scrum Master decides how the work should be completed during a sprint. Is this statement true or false? Now this is similar to the previous question in which we mentioned that the dev team is a self-organizing team and the dev team decides how to complete the sprint backlog. So the Scrum Master has no business deciding how the work should be completed. The answer is B, false. The next question is, the development team handles all the work related to development and testing is done by a separate team. Is it true or false? Now this is an interesting question. The development team in Scrum not only includes developers, but it includes everyone required to get the job done. For example, QA and designers are also part of the dev team. In typical organizations, the developers, the designers, and the QA may have different reporting lines, but in Scrum team, they are all members of the development team with a common sprint goal. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, what should be the composition of the development team? One senior developer with few junior developers, one architect, one technical lead and developers, or whatever is needed to deliver a done increment in a sprint. So the development team includes everyone needed to get the job done, meaning whatever is needed to deliver a done increment of the product at the end of the sprint. So the answer is C, whatever is needed to deliver a usable increment in a sprint. Next question is, how are architectural activities managed in Scrum? Managed by architects outside the sprint, addressed during a dedicated sprint for architecture, or handled as product backlog items within the sprint. So in Scrum, architecture evolves incrementally and iteratively just like features. Architectural tasks should be visible, prioritized, and completed within sprints alongside other backlog items. There are no separate phases for architecture outside of sprints in Scrum. So the correct answer is C, handled as product backlog items within the sprint. Next question is, what is decided by a self-organizing development team? Order of product backlog, how to best complete work in the sprint, or frequency of daily scrum. Now the order of backlog is decided by the prioritization, and that is done by the PO. The frequency of daily scrum is also decided by the scrum meeting principles. But this is debatable that sometimes teams do not meet daily and then they choose to meet every alternate day. But since we have to pick one correct answer, the closest is B, how to best complete the work in the sprint. Next question is, the development team can abnormally terminate the ongoing sprint. True or false? The development team cannot, but the product owner can. If there are some critical new findings or change in the market condition, then PO can cancel the sprint. So the answer is B, false. Next question, the product owner can abnormally terminate the ongoing sprint. Is it true or false? As also mentioned in the previous question, the product owner has the authority and can terminate the ongoing sprint. So the answer is A, true. Next question, when is it most appropriate for development team to update the definition of done? During sprint planning, during sprint retro, or during daily scrum? So sprint retrospective is a key opportunity for the team to inspect and adapt the processes for continuous improvement. Also, this is the meeting where team tries to update the definition of done. So the answer is B, during sprint retro. Next question is, how are non-functional requirements managed in Scrum? As part of definition of done, it's delegated to the release team, or as part of the product backlog. So the non-functional requirements can be standalone backlog items. They can also be included as part of the acceptance criteria for user stories, and they can also be added as part of the definition of done. So for this question, the answer is A, as part of DOD, and C, as part of the product backlog. Next question is, who is responsible for creating the sprint goal? The development team, the product owner, or the PO in collaboration with the dev team? So as also explained in some previous questions, the sprint goal is created during sprint planning, and this is done by PO and the development team together. So the correct answer is C, the PO in collaboration with the dev team. Next question is it required to define a sprint goal for every sprint? No, for some sprints it is not mandatory. No, it's only for sprint 0. Yes, it helps with focus for the development team. So it is required to define a sprint goal for every sprint to provide focus, alignment, and clarity for the team. Without a sprint goal, the team will not know what would be the success of the sprint. So the answer is C. Yes, it helps with focus for the development team. Next question is, who is responsible for updating the sprint backlog to reflect the current state of work? The product owner, the scrum master, or the dev team? So at any moment in sprint, the sprint backlog updates are done by the dev team, as they are the owners of the sprint backlog. So the correct answer is C, the development team. Next, which of the following are time box events in Scrum? Daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. So all the events in Scrum are time boxed. The 5 events in Scrum are sprint, sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. So if we look at the options here, then the correct answer is A, B, and C. Next question is, which of the following are examples of feedback loops in Scrum? Daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. So all 3 events provided in the options are examples of feedback loops. Daily Scrum provides feedback to the team on progress and impediments. Sprint review is an event to collect feedback from the stakeholders. Sprint retro is feedback on the processes and what can be improved. So the correct answer is A, B, and C. Next question is, Scrum prescribes that the sprint should not be longer than 1 month to reduce risk, maintain predictability, and ensure regular feedback. Is it true or false? So the answer is true. The Scrum framework prescribes that the sprint should not be longer than 1 month to reduce risk, maintain predictability, and ensure feedback. Also, the shorter duration of sprint allows teams to inspect and adapt more frequently. So the answer is A, true. Next question is, the Scrum Master determines how work should be performed during each sprint. Is it true or false? So in Scrum, the development team is responsible for determining how to perform the work during each sprint, not the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master facilitates the process but does not dictate how tasks are completed. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, what should be the gap between two consecutive sprints? None, 1 day, or time required to finish remaining work from the previous sprint. There is no gap between the sprints. The moment first sprint ends, the second one starts. So the answer is A, none. Next question is, when is the start of the next sprint? Immediately following the sprint planning or immediately after the end of the previous sprint? Also, as explained in the previous question, the next sprint starts immediately after the end of the previous sprint. Now, one thing to consider is that sprint planning is included in the sprint itself. So the answer is B, immediately after the end of previous sprint. Next, how should the best length for a sprint be determined? A, always 2 weeks to maximize agility, or B, considering the risk of being disconnected with stakeholders. So normally the sprints are of 2 weeks, but I have also seen sprint duration of 1 week and 3 weeks, and the duration was determined considering the risk of being disconnected with stakeholders or any other major market risk. So the answer is B, considering the risk of being disconnected with stakeholders. Next, all Scrum teams working on the same product are required to align their sprint start and end date. Is it true or false? It is a good practice to align the sprint start and the end dates for all Scrum teams, because then it helps the product releases, but it is not a mandatory requirement. Each team can operate with its own sprint cycle as long as they are working collaboratively and coordinating efforts towards the same product goal. So the answer is B, false. Next, if the sprint backlog is completed sooner than expected during the sprint, what should the Scrum team do? End the sprint and start the next one, pull in additional backlog items supporting sprint goal, or pause and wait for the next sprint to start. Now in this situation, it is best to pull in additional ready backlog items that support the sprint goal. Sometimes teams also use this time to fix some critical defects or minor defects. So the answer is B, pull in additional backlog items supporting the sprint goal. Next, according to Scrum, when does a sprint end? When the predefined time box expires or when the sprint backlog is complete? The answer is when the time box expires. That's when the sprint actually ends. So if the sprint time box is 2 weeks, then the sprint ends in 2 weeks, irrespective of when the sprint backlog will be completed. So the answer is A, when the predefined time box expires. Next, is it mandatory for the development team members to be present at the daily Scrum? True or false? It is mandatory event for the development team, whereas the product owner and the Scrum Master may choose to be present. Although I highly recommend the product owner to be present during daily stand-ups because it helps things move fast or clarify open questions from the development team. So the answer is A, true. Next question, is it mandatory for the daily Scrum to be held first thing in the morning? True or false? No, it is not mandatory for the daily Scrum to be held first thing in the morning. The daily Scrum should occur at a consistent time and place that works best for the team, as long as it helps the team stay aligned and focused throughout the sprint. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, defining and expressing product backlog items is the responsibility the business analyst, the development team, or the product owner. So the responsibility of defining and expressing product backlog items lies with the PO. The PO ensures that the items are clearly articulated, prioritized, and ready for the team to work on. So the answer is C, the product owner. Next question, should Scrum Master organize all the meetings for the development team? Yes or no? The Scrum Master facilitates Scrum events as needed, but the development team is responsible for organizing their own meetings when necessary. So the answer is B, no. Next question, can the PO role be shared by multiple team members? True or false? The product owner is a person and not a team or a committee. So the answer is B, false. Which statement is correct about the product owner role? The product owner role can be shared by a committee. The product owner is a single individual. As also explained in the previous question, the product owner is an individual and not a committee. So the answer is B, the PO is a single individual. Next question, 4 days in the sprint, the development team has questions regarding a requirement discussed during sprint planning. What should they do? move the backlog item to the next sprint, approach the product owner for clarification, or Scrum Master to provide the necessary clarification. So this is a very frequently occurring situation, and in this situation the best action is to approach the product owner for clarification. After all, it's about individuals and interactions over processes. So the answer is B, approach the PO for clarification. Next question is, cross-functional does not mean every team member can do everything, but that the team as a whole has all the necessary capabilities to deliver value. True or false? Indeed, the statement is true. Cross-functional teams mean that the team can get the job done. So the answer is A, true. Next question is, Scrum requires rotating team members between teams every few sprints to facilitate knowledge transfer. True or false? While knowledge transfer is important, it is typically achieved through collaboration and cross-functional skill development within the same team rather than forced rotation. So the answer is B, false. Next question. Scrum Masters create a skill of matrix and assign individuals to teams based on seniority and experience. Is it true or false? The Scrum Master's role is to facilitate the Scrum process and support the team. Team members are typically self-organized and cross-functional, and decisions about team composition are usually made by the organization or the team themselves, not by the Scrum Master. So the answer is B, false. Next question. If a developer leaves the Scrum team and a new developer joins immediately, how is the team's velocity likely to be impacted? Remains the same, temporarily increase, or temporarily decrease? So whenever there are changes in the composition of the team, it usually brings decrease in the velocity, as the new person who is going to join would take some time to understand the product, time for setup, and time for knowledge transfer. So the answer is C, temporarily decrease. Next question. A developer stays late to finish a feature in order to meet the sprint goal. Which Scrum value is being demonstrated? Commitment, courage, or focus? So the Scrum value being demonstrated here is commitment. The developer is showing dedication to achieving the sprint goal by going the extra mile to complete the feature. So the answer is A, commitment. Next question is, a team member listens to other suggestions and engages in constructive discussion during sprint planning. Which Scrum value is being demonstrated? Respect, courage, or focus? So the Scrum value being demonstrated here is respect. The team member is actively listening to other suggestions and engaging in constructive discussion, showing respect for their colleagues and fostering collaboration. So the answer is A, respect. Next question is, a developer shares a challenge they encountered during the sprint and asks the team for suggestions. Which Scrum value is being demonstrated here? Openness, courage, or respect? So the Scrum value being demonstrated here is courage and openness. The developer is being open about a challenge they faced and seeking help, showing the courage to be transparent and vulnerable in front of the team. So the correct answer is courage and openness. Next question is, the Scrum team resists external requests and distractions to complete the work they committed to the sprint. Which Scrum value is being demonstrated? Focus, courage, or respect? The Scrum value being demonstrated here is focus. The team is prioritizing the work they committed to in the sprint, resisting distractions to stay aligned with their goals and deliverables. So the correct answer is A, focus. Next question is, the development team is autonomous in deciding the order in which team members will speak during the daily Scrum. True or false? The development team is autonomous in deciding the order. The Scrum guide allows flexibility in how the daily Scrum is conducted, as long as the event serves its purpose of inspecting progress and planning the next 24 hours. So the answer is A, true. Next question is, the daily Scrum is held at the same time and place every day to ensure consistency and discipline. True or false? Indeed, the statement is true. This makes it easier for the team to attend and stay focused on their progress. So the answer is A, true. Next question. The purpose of the sprint review is to inspect the outcome of the sprint, gather feedback in order to adapt the product backlog, and ensure alignment with stakeholders. True or false? So during sprint review, the team inspects the outcome of the sprint alongside stakeholders. The feedback is collected and then, if required, product backlog is also updated. Sprint review outcome helps guide the next steps for the product development. So the answer is A, true. Next question. The Scrum Master helps the team by ensuring clear roles and supporting team members in working effectively within the Scrum framework. A, yes, the Scrum Master is there to help and support. B, no, this is not part of the Scrum Master's responsibility. The Scrum Master is like a coach or a facilitator and supports team members in working effectively. So the correct answer is A, yes, the Scrum Master is there to support and guide. Next question. What is discussed during the sprint planning meeting? What will be included in the sprint backlog? Assigning sprint backlog to dev team members, or how the sprint backlog items will be completed? So there are mainly three things discussed in the sprint planning meeting. What can be delivered in the sprint? How will the work be done? And what will be the sprint goal? This meeting ensures everyone is aligned on the work for upcoming sprint. So the correct answer is A, what will be included in the sprint backlog, and C, how the sprint backlog items will be completed. Next question is, should stakeholders attend the daily scrum? Yes, but only as observers, or no, their voice is represented by the PO. So the daily scrum is a short, focused meeting for the development team to plan their work for the day, discuss progress, and address if there are any blockers. So the answer is B, no, their voice is represented by the PO. The Scrum Master represents the voice of the stakeholders during the daily scrum. Is it true or false? Now the product owner may attend the daily stand-up, and the PO shall represent the voice of stakeholders during the daily scrum. Though I would like to mention that the sprint backlog is already finalized during the sprint planning meeting. So in theory, there should be no additional inputs required from the PO side. But in practical situations, there might be some cases where additional input from the product owner is required, and then PO might represent stakeholders as well. So the answer is B, false. Next question. What should the development team do if they realize during the sprint that the work is more than expected? Work overtime, add more developers, or inform the PO and work towards finding a solution? Now, interesting question. This can happen when the product backlog refinement is not done properly, or the sprint planning is not done thoroughly. So in this situation, it is best to inform the product owner and collaboratively work towards finding a solution, perhaps reduce scope or change of sprint goal. So the answer is C, inform the product owner and work towards finding a solution. Next question. The Scrum Master must track the number of hours worked by each dev team member. True or false? Tracking number of hours of the development team member is not part of the responsibility of Scrum Master. In fact, for a self-organizing cross-functional team, number of hours should not be tracked anyways. So the answer is B, false. Next question. Sprint burn down chart is an effective tool for tracking work remaining in the sprint, capacity of development team, or remaining sprint backlog items. So a sprint burn down chart is an effective tool for tracking the team's progress during a sprint. It shows how much work remains versus time left, helping the team stay on track and quickly identify any risks or delays. So the answer is A, work remaining in the sprint. Next question is, 5 Scrum teams working on one product should maintain 5 separate product backlogs and 1 master product backlog. Is it true or false? If all 5 Scrum teams are working on one product, then there should be only 1 product backlog. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, the product increment must be shipped to production after every sprint. Is it true or false? So the decision to release a product increment to customers is taken by the product owner. The PO aligns with various stakeholders, and depending on the alignment, the PO decides to release or to wait. So the answer is B, false. Next question. Who is responsible for knowing the most about business objectives? Is it Scrum Master, is it the product owner, or is it the project lead? Knowing business objectives is part of the PO's responsibility. So the answer is B, product owner. Next question is, in Scrum, estimation is done in relative units to compare the size or complexity of work items relative to one another. True or false? In Scrum, estimation is done using relative units, like story points. This approach helps teams estimate effort more consistently without getting stuck on exact hours. So the answer is A, true. Next question is, which of the following is true for estimating work in Scrum? Story points must be used for estimates. Estimates are done by the dev team. Estimates is done by the product owner. Now looking at the options, the first option is not true as Scrum does not mandate using story points for estimates. Option C is also not true as the product owner does not provide estimate to the backlog items. So the correct answer is B, estimates are done by the dev team. Next question, what should the Scrum Master do if the product owner raises concerns about a developer? Ask PO to discuss this in sprint retro. Do nothing as this is not part of his responsibility, or reassign developer to a different team. The Scrum Master shall advise the product owner to bring the matter to sprint retro to have a transparent and clear communication in the team. The Scrum Master should facilitate respectful conversation during retro to address concerns and foster a positive working environment. So the answer is A, ask the PO to discuss this in sprint retrospective. Next question is, what should the development team do if the marketing team requests adding a critical item to the active sprint? Add this to the sprint, add this to the next sprint, or inform them to work with the product owner. So in this situation, the development team should inform the marketing team to align with the product owner. The marketing team are the stakeholders, and it's part of the product owner's responsibilities to evaluate and represent the wishes of the stakeholders. So the answer is C, inform them to work with the product owner. Next question, what should a product owner do if the development team cannot complete their sprint forecast? Get more resources, update sprint goal, or rework with the development team to adjust sprint backlog. So in this situation, getting more resources will not help as this will temporarily slow down the work of the development team even more. The ideal course would be to rework with the development team to adjust the sprint backlog, ensuring that the team still tries to meet the sprint goal. So the answer is C, rework with development team to adjust sprint backlog. Next question is, the Scrum Master should help development team by organizing meetings or removing impediments. So out of the two options, removing impediments is part of the Scrum Master's responsibility. The Scrum Master actually also organizes all sprint meetings, but that can be done by anyone from the team. So the answer is B, removing impediments. Next question, at the end of daily Scrum, the Scrum Master must share status updates to management. Yes or no? The daily Scrum is a meeting for the development team to sync up and discuss the plan for next working day. The Scrum Master is involved only in case of impediments found, and the Scrum Master helps the team resolve those impediments found during working on the sprint backlog. So the answer is B, no. Next question, at the end of daily Scrum, the Scrum Master is responsible for updating the sprint board. Is it true or false? So the development team is a self-organizing team and they are responsible to keep the sprint board up to date. The Scrum Master is with them to coach and facilitate in case the development team is facing issues in updating the board. So the answer is B, no. Next question is the Scrum Master responsible for adopting the Scrum framework in the organization? Yes or no? Indeed, the Scrum Master is responsible for promoting and supporting the adoption of Scrum framework within the organization by coaching the team, stakeholders, and leadership on Scrum principles and practices. So the answer is A, yes. Next question is, the Scrum Master is responsible for managing performance of the Scrum team. True or false? The Scrum Master is not responsible for managing the performance of the Scrum team. Their role is to facilitate the Scrum process, remove impediments, and support the team in self-organizing and continuously improving. So the answer is B, false. Next question is, what must be done by the development team every sprint? Documentation, analysis, or creating product increment. While it's nice if the development team members can do documentation and analysis, if there is one thing that must be done every sprint, then it's creating a usable product increment, also referred sometimes as potentially shippable product. So the answer is C, create product increment. Next question is the need for a team's self-organization primarily related to increasing rule compliance? Yes, maybe, or no. So the need for a team's self-organization is primarily related to enhancing flexibility, creativity, and ownership, and it's not merely increasing rule compliance. Self-organizing teams are empowered to make decisions, adapt to change, and deliver value efficiently. So the answer is C, no. Next question is, two new developers are added to the Scrum team. What is the immediate impact on delivery? Remains the same, increases, or decreases? So the immediate impact would be that delivery will decrease, as the new developers will take time to be onboarded and will also use the team's time to get up to speed. So the answer is C, decrease. Next question is, in which meeting does stakeholders and development team normally interact? Sprint planning, sprint review, or daily Scrum? So sprint review is the meeting for inspecting the outcome of the sprint, and this is also the moment for stakeholders to provide feedback on the outcome. So the answer is B, sprint review. Next question is, who provides estimates for product backlog items? Product owner, development team, or the Scrum Master? So the estimations for product backlog items are provided by the development team. The answer is B, the development team. Next question, is it mandatory for the product owner to be present at daily Scrum? Yes or no? The daily Scrum is primarily for the development team to plan their work for the day. However, the product owner may attend if the team finds it valuable. So the answer is B, no. Next question, is it possible to cancel the ongoing sprint in Scrum? Yes or no? Yes, an ongoing sprint can be cancelled in Scrum, but only the product owner has the authority to cancel a sprint. If the sprint goal becomes obsolete or irrelevant, sprint cancellations can be done, but they are rare and disruptive, so they should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. The answer is A, yes. Next question, during which Scrum event is the sprint backlog created? Sprint planning, sprint review, or daily Scrum? So sprint backlog is created during sprint planning meeting, and this is all the items that development team pulls in the sprint and the plan to complete those items. So the answer is A, sprint planning meeting. Next question, sprint planning for a monthly sprint is time boxed for 2 hours, 4 hours, or 8 hours. In Scrum, all events are time boxed. The time box for sprint planning for a monthly sprint is 8 hours, and for a 2-week sprint is 4 hours. So the answer is C, 8 hours. Next question, does every Scrum team require a product owner and a Scrum Master? True or false? Every Scrum team requires a product owner and a Scrum Master, period. The product owner is responsible for managing the product backlog, and the Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process, helps remove impediments, and ensures that the team adheres to Scrum practices. So the answer is A, true. Next question, which role is not on the Scrum team? Developer, Scrum Master, Project Manager, or the Product Owner? So Scrum has 3 roles, and there is no mention of Project Managers as a core role in the team. So the answer is C, Project Manager. Next question is it acceptable that a development team delivers an increment with minor known bugs in it? Yes or no? So in Scrum, the definition of done determines whether an increment is truly done and ready for release. If the bugs are minor, non-critical, and low impact, meaning they don't affect core functionality or user experience, then those bugs might be logged in Jira and can be fixed in a future sprint. Best practice is that the team should prioritize fixing defects that affect value delivery while maintaining transparency with stakeholders about any known issues. So the answer is yes, it is acceptable only if the bugs are minor and not affecting the core functionality.